Hi, my name's Ryan Smith. Welcome to ModX Network Voices. This is where we discuss off-site construction topics and invite guests to come on the show. I'm joined by my partner, Ivan Rupnik. Ivan. And we are joined by Craig Curtis at Katerra. Craig will be introducing himself a bit and sharing some information. So to start out, Craig, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the discussion.
Thanks, Ryan and Ivan. Happy to be part of this. Yeah, I've been with Katerra since the inception. There were actually four of us who started the design office for Katerra back in January of 2016, and I was one of those initial four. At the time, there were maybe 40 people worldwide in Katerra, and it was primarily seen as a supply chain company. So I've been with Katerra really since the beginning of the true vertical integration of the company. Prior to that, I spent almost 30 years with the Miller-Hull Partnership in Seattle, a great regional design firm known for doing bespoke work, really. We didn't really have a particular specific market. It was all over the place. I worked on everything from cabins and single-family homes to $500 million border crossings and U.S. embassies. So a pretty wide range. It's been a great ride.
That's great. I'd like you to give a shout out, of course. Craig is an alum of WSU, Washington State University, and a great supporter of the program. Craig also spoke at a Go Cougs, that's right. Spoke at our ModX Northwest event and was well received. We thought it'd be good to share some of the highlights of what he had discussed there. Today, Craig's going to be talking a little bit about product platforms for the different building types and sharing his screen. So go right ahead, Craig, and share your screen if you would.
You bet. Okay. Well, I want to talk about a couple of our building platforms today. And, you know, the term building platforms is relatively new to us as architects. As I mentioned, I've, you know, in my previous 30 years in the profession was spent doing bespoke buildings, which is pretty much, you know, what the vast majority of architects do. You're, you know, trying to be creative and a little bit different, a little bit better. And designing a building platform, I have to say, has been incredibly challenging. It's really a different way of thinking about design. And it doesn't mean at all that buildings are going to look exactly the same, but it is a way to design more efficiently. And so that we can increase production and productivity in this industry, which is so lacking. And that's, you know, obviously why there's so much interest in offsite fabrication and prefab right now. It's to solve some of these major social issues that we have, such as the massive shortage of workforce housing. So there are certain market sectors that are just perfect for this. And we started developing our platforms back in about late 2016, early 2017. So it's incredible how difficult this has been, but we're finally launching this multifamily garden platform this year. And this is a low-rise platform, and we have other, you know, mid-rise platforms that are under development, but I'm going to share this one with you because it is the most developed, and then this will trigger a lot. We can borrow a lot of what we've learned with this platform and apply it to larger platforms. But really what we're trying to do here is provide a configurable building solution. And we do that in this size platform by having a combination of fixed and flexible parts to the platform. So in the case of a 3-story multifamily platform, what we have is we have a fixed chassis in the middle, and then we can modify the ends. This is a 3-story, 24-unit walk-up that you see all over America. There are millions of units of this house, and it's one that our launch customer heavily invested in. And so we decided to make this the core of our first platform. And what you can see here is that even with the amount of consistency we have within this platform, there are 288 different configurations that come out of this. And within those, you have, thousands of options for interior finish changes. And then all of these choices that you make along the way are then configured into an actual building product, or building project, I should say. So with this particular platform, this is again based on a 3-story, 24-unit building. And we can incorporate tuck under parking, as you see here on the top image. We can have a gable roof in the center or a flat roof, and we have other options as well. But those are the 3 main building configurations. We also have different building assemblies or manufactured assemblies that are part of every one of these different configurations. That's the kitchen kits are consistent, the bath kits are consistent, load center, and so on. These are manufactured assemblies that we're building in our factory that go into each one of these configurations. And then the flexibility can be in the variation in wall panels and floor panels and so on. So here's a snapshot of what this looks like. We have 12 unit plans that can be arranged in different ways on these ends. The center of each one of these buildings remains constant, and then you can modify the left module and the right module in different configurations. Flat roof, gable roof. We have 2 different types of mechanical system, either a vertical terminal heat pump system or a proprietary KTAC, which is a system that we've developed that is in manufacturing, final stages of manufacturing currently. So again, some diagrams showing the different ways we can configure this kit of parts. It's a platform being a configurable building system. Each one of these elements within this configured building has to be detailed in a way that architects and engineers are just not used to doing. It's not common in this industry. It's more like how you'd see building an airplane or an iPhone, where you have to have every single detail down to the bill of materials and to the manufacturing drawings. This shows some of those common elements. Again, we have, bath kits, kitchen kits, and things like that are reusable within various platforms. And then there's still a bit of configurability that's left to the architect. This particular configuration this building platform is configured around a central spine. So trying to be economical and arranging all of our plumbing, all of our wet services around a spine. This illustrates gives you an idea of how different it is to design in this way. So with every one of these floor panels that we configure in our factory, that requires 4 sheets of shop drawings just for each floor panel. So you can imagine, to do a fully detailed 24-unit building with this amount of detail is thousands of sheets and thousands and thousands of data points of information in order to provide that level of detail that's needed to go to automated factory equipment, including work instructions in the field for how things are assembled. And it's just truly a different way of thinking about designing, manufacturing, and assembling a building. Some simple diagrams showing the configuration of the services in this 24-unit building. This is where design is so important, to make those decisions up front that actually make it economical in the end to lay out these services and provide that kind of both horizontal and vertical distribution of plumbing and electrical. This is a cut through that spine wall down the middle of a simple 24-unit building. It's incredible the amount of detail we get into. We do have manufacturing capabilities off-site, so we can do prefabricated load centers, and we're loading walls. This is a picture of how our bath kit works. It's not a full module. It actually comes packaged up. The reason we've decided to go flat pack and not volumetric modular, I think, is illustrated here. This is a way that we can provide the same efficiency of a bath pod, but we can pack it in a smaller volume, so that allows us to be more economical with logistics. This is how that bath kit comes delivered to the site and then fully assembled. Same with our kitchens. And then on the interior finishes, we have various options. So you can pick from within our catalog. We're a vertically integrated company that owns our supply chain, including our own lighting line, ceiling fans. We have our own appliance line, bath and kitchen fixtures, and so on. They've all been curated to work very well together, much like you'd curate the interior finishes of an automobile, of your Audi. You know for sure that whatever you pick, it's going to look good together. That's the same rationale we have with our catalog of interior finishes. So you have various options for color and texture, but it's a narrow catalog, but it's all extremely high quality. It meets all of our requirements for aesthetics, for sustainability, for environmental quality of the materials, and smart sourcing and things like that. So some images, both interior and exterior, of the various options that are available for that 3-story platform. And I can share another one with you, but are there questions, Ryan or Ivan, that you have about that first platform before we move on?
Maybe just to point to the viewers that we're discussing a platform built around a panelized system, so that folks know the kind of building system that it's supporting, the manufacturing system. But otherwise, I think it would be great to hear a little more, another example, and then we can
maybe just one question on this particular platform for the walk-up apartments. Are all of those elements manufactured in the same factory, or say like an Apple iPhone, they're manufactured in 3 different places and brought to the job site to be assembled? What is the supply chain strategy?
That's a good one. Yeah, you want me to go back to one of these images and hit on that?
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let me see. Maybe I'll use this one.
Yeah, the plan would be great.
So this is the typical unit plan that you see here for our 3-story multifamily garden platform. And what you can see, some of these shaded walls, this is, again, this is a flat pack, not a full volumetric modular approach. So we have the ability to manufacture all of these items in our factory in Tracy. So we can do wall panels, floor panels, we do bath kits, kitchen kits, load centers, all of those things, cabinets. We have our own window line. That's all done in our first factory in Tracy, and we plan to have multiple factories across the country to be able to provide the same capabilities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that helps.
In Tracy, California, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, why don't you go on to the office platform? That'd be good.
Okay. Okay. So the next platform I will share with you is quite different than the first one. So the K3 low-rise multifamily platform is built around a particular building type that that everyone is familiar with if you're in the multifamily world, that 3-story, 24-unit walk-up building. In the case of commercial office, it's a little different in that it's very rare that you would have exactly the same building configuration repeated. So in the case of our mid-rise platform, we have to provide much more flexibility. We also have some interesting challenges when you get into commercial construction regarding the structural requirements of the building based on the seismic zone, wind load. We have different climate constraints and climate zones that have an impact. There are different labor issues around concrete versus steel that can have an impact on how you want to design things like your seismic system for a building. So all of those things have to be considered when you're trying to design a 48-state solution platform for commercial office. At the heart of everything we're doing commercially is mass timber. And so we built a mass timber manufacturing facility in Spokane Valley, Washington. It was the largest investment that the company has made in terms of manufacturing capabilities. It's a very big bet on CLT as being a new way to build that's going to really drive a lot of new building techniques in the future. And we're very much invested in this. And when you think about CLT and what it is and how it's configured and the advantages of it, it's just perfect for the Katerra model of offsite fabrication and field assembly. It's a very large format product. Our press is 12 feet wide and 60 feet long. It's made with incredible precision within a few millimeters in a 12 by 60 panel. Very few people are needed to manufacture the material when you look at it compared to volume, and very few people are needed on site to assemble it. So the efficiency of this product is tremendous, and it is, again, just perfectly suited for the kind of modular and off-site company that Katerra wants to be. This is, again, not a volumetric modular approach, but more of this flat pack approach. So with our commercial platform, what we've done is we've developed a structural system that is designed around our panels. So we reduce the waste out of the factory. That's how you drive the cost of the manufacturing process down. Again, looking to other industries for inspiration, it's all about trying to provide the most efficient product out of the factory. It's factory output. So if we can eliminate waste and use every cubic inch of fiber every time that press is used, that's going to drive the cost of the final product down. So our system is built around a 20-foot module, left to right, that works well with our 60-foot panel. We can cut it into 40-foot panels and 20-foot panels for ease of logistics. And then the 20-foot panels we can use around things like the building core where you have different loading. So it has to be, these platforms have to be designed really smart around the manufacturing capabilities. In the case of the multifamily, it's built around the capabilities of our Tracy, California plant. In the case of our commercial office, it's built around the capabilities of our CLT plant in Spokane.
Yeah.
Here we go. So this is a representative image of what a Katerra commercial office platform building could look like. There again, there are all kinds of options in terms of the final exterior finish. and even the number of stories, the length of the building, the width of the building. But it is designed around a module, that 20 by 25 module, that is super efficient for us to manufacture in our factory. This includes the option for a 2-story lobby. And here you can see the building structure. This is that 20 by 25 grid, which we've determined to be the most economical way to fully utilize a combination of a glulam and CLT office structure. We've designed it around a 48-state solution, so we have automated engineering that goes into this based on the seismic zone. And again, various configurations for the exterior skin. We just provide some general guidance of what we can provide out of our factories, and the design team, architects, and developers can choose to do whatever they'd like to do for the exterior. We're doing some.
No, I understand.
Go ahead.
Well, I know that you're manufacturing all the CLT, and then you have a supply chain of finishes, lighting, HVAC. I wondered on the specifically on the exterior enclosure, if you own that exterior prefabricated enclosure company, or is that a third-party manufacturer still?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, for the exterior skin of commercial office, we are currently developing some window wall options that utilize our cold form steel capabilities out of our Tracy factory. Obviously, when we get into these taller buildings, we can't use our vinyl window line, and we'll have to go to a commercial product. But we have preferred partners that are part of our supply chain. We have companies in Mexico and a company in Wisconsin that we can combine the IGU units and the aluminum frames and assemble those into a very cost competitive exterior skin. So we can offer that. And we can offer a curtain wall system as well.
Mm-hmm.
And our commercial line is not as developed as our multifamily line, but it's coming along. We do have a configurable conference room system that we do have available. We have a commercial lighting system that we just launched. And we're working in a partnership with the McKinstry company. They are developing a product. It's a new spin-off of McKinstry called Overcast. And it was really influenced by the project we did with them in Spokane, where they saw the advantage of having a sort of a plug-and-play appliance model to HVAC and very well coordinated and integrated HVAC, plumbing, lighting, acoustics, and low voltage system that can be done in sort of a cloud that's hanging beneath the mass timber, as we're trying to leave most of the mass timber exposed, as you can see in this lower left image.
Mm-hmm.
We are utilizing a different software in the commercial office platform, and this might be, something that we take to other platforms in the future. We've been very impressed with the difference it makes when you're using a software system that's actually designed for manufacturing. Revit is really not. It's still, it's mostly a 2D based system. And with Katerra, we're able to generate our bill of materials right out of the model. We can easily tie costing to every element in the model with Katerra. So, there's a good reason why this is the software of choice to manufacture airplanes and, ships and things like that. And I think we're going to see a movement in the software industry to be able to incorporate those kind of features from other manufacturing markets into buildings. That's all I had prepared.
Right. Craig, well, I wanted to, this is really, really amazing. Thanks for sharing both of the platforms. I actually wanted to, something we discussed right before the call, which I think is really interesting. You brought up sort of the audience that we work with, and both folks within the current offsite industry in the US, which are much smaller manufacturers than Katerra, as well as new players in the offsite industry, developers and general contractors. We keep finding that while they're willing to invest in offsite capability through a factory space and even with some automation, one thing that they seem hesitant on is investing in the kind of vertical integration, particularly and the kind of design integration that you've shown. What would you say are some of the key, and these are really high level, what are some of the key factors? I mean, Katerra obviously is a very large entity. It has good funding, but obviously at the end of the day, Katerra is also interested in being economically viable. What are some of the key factors that drove Katerra into this kind of major investment, not just into vertical integration and the sort of supply chain, but really this kind of upfront, you were one of the first four employees, one of this kind of upfront thinking about vertical integration, thinking about design platforms, and really thinking about an audience that maybe is smaller, but what is the value? What do you see as the real value of design from the perspective of economics, of supply chain, of manufacturing?
Yeah, great question, Ivan, about the quality of design. And I guess the way we look at it at Katerra is, even if we're successful and we provide a product that is less costly out of the factory and it's easier to assemble, we won't be able to sell it if it doesn't look good, right? It has to be a high quality product. And design is at the forefront of what we're doing. It's like, Apple obviously is the example that we use a lot. Design sells that product. It's user experience, and we would like nothing more than to have a sort of a brand to Katerra that's based on that quality of design.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that some of these buildings may look similar in certain markets like multifamily does not bother me at all, because there's a lot of really bad design out there, right? And if we provide
similar too, without trying.
Yeah, even if you might see the same building in two different cities or something that's close to that, as long as it's good architecture, I think there's nothing wrong with that. But design has to be at the forefront of everything that we're doing in order to be successful. We want the scaling of our company should be driven by people wanting what we produce, not us having to go out and trying to sell it. Mm-hmm. If it's really good design, then cities are going to want that workforce housing in their community because it's high quality.
Yeah. No, and I see that in the dedication to quality, but I even mean even in a more dumb way. I mean, even just making design decisions early seems to be something that goes against the building culture of North America. So, for example, when I worked in a larger office and we did sort of multifamily, developers and builders like to jump between concrete and steel and concrete, and we would redraw, and that's something that we keep seeing even as folks move to offsite. They want their cake and eat it too, in the sense that they would like offsite construction, they'd like automation, they'd like savings, but there's a real resistance to making decisions early, to adopting the system. So I think on one side is quality design. On the other side, again, what I'm surprised, and it's still unique by what we see, we don't see this expanding, at least in the U.S. market, is this decision to accept the framework. And just to add to that, and I think you alluded to it, we keep hearing, from folks that are moving into the industry, this fear, clients want customization. I can imagine them seeing what you've shown and saying, not just that it looks the same, but that a developer wants to put their print on it or feels like they can get a better deal by tweaking things. So maybe, how do you deal, what are the values that Katerra brings to say, well, there's a certain spectrum of choices. Is it the quality also, that the aspect, is it the cost? Are those things able to manage what seems to be a real desire for customization, often for customization sake, not from architects, but also from clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, our philosophy is, again, that it's if it's a high quality product and we provide just enough variation and it actually solves a problem, say, for example, specifically to the need for workforce housing, there's a dramatic need for that. Should every planning director be able to tell you that you have to have 2 more feet of modulation on that elevation?
No.
Is that really going to make a difference? Or if it's a great looking product and it meets that 120% AMI cap, is that instead a better solution for that jurisdiction? That's not a very good answer, but
no, it's a great answer, but it's one that, again, we keep scratching our heads because we do find that this is the most, automation, going off site, putting things in factories. People seem to buy that, but the kind of management, the design management side, seems to be a hard sell. And there's a real entrenched belief that a kind of speculative, let's leave things off until as late as we can in terms of decisions, and blame the client or the jurisdiction for variation is something we keep coming up as we have these conversations and we try to put the industry forward. And then maybe to follow up, there are 2 related questions based on that. So do you feel like this Katerra model, which involves vertical integration and serious automation, as well as this kind of, let's say, disciplined approach to design, not just the quality of design, but making decisions early, do you think that's scalable? Do you think that's something that requires, does it require the kind of national platform that Katerra is building that we all want to see succeed? Do you think it's scalable down to a regional or even I don't know, at the scale of the Bay Area or the scale of, the Northeast? Is it scalable? Yeah. Does it challenge, how much does it challenge the procurement models that we're all so used to?
Yeah, I think the thing that you hit on that is the most eye-opening to me, and I think the most important part of this entire conversation, is just the way that the way the design and construction process is set up now in traditional methods. The decision-making process is the problem. And what we're doing and what prefab does and the Katerra model does is it moves all of those decisions up, right? And that is the most difficult thing to get people used to, whether you're a contractor or a developer or even potentially a city. Having those decisions all baked in early is the biggest change. If we were able to change the industry and do that and make that more acceptable, like every other industry is set up, I think that will be the breakthrough. And that will allow, I think, the kind of scale that we're all looking for. And this is not just scale within Katerra, but scaling this entire area around prefabrication and offsite fabrication and modular design and construction. If this entire industry shifts in that direction, which we need it to do in order to increase productivity and meet things like cost targets and just the sheer volume of building that needs to be built and sustainability goals, and all of those kind of things can be done if we change the way we design and build. But that is the key thing that has to shift, is an acceptance of making those decisions early, and you accept that. You can't change your mind about something late in the process because it's baked into something that is going to be made in a factory and delivered to be assembled on site.
So you would say, just to get you on record a little bit, and I think you said it already, but it sounds like the procurement model itself, more than, all these things are important. Vertical integration are important. Automation is important. Obviously, a very ecological approach to construction, which you guys are chasing with both platforms being wood, is important. But until we change the procurement model, until we change the sequence of the ways that we deliver projects, whether they're offsite or onsite, we're really not going to be seeing either economic benefits or social ones.
Yeah, I can't see us ever value engineering our way to success as an industry. I think it has to be a much bigger change than that in order to attack some of these major social issues that we have, right? So it's a change in mindset of the way of the process, and that early decision making and narrowing the amount of the number of decisions that you make is key.
It's really helpful. You touched on the jurisdiction, regulatory, and codes question a bit, but I thought maybe if you might talk about how has Katerra encountered some of the obstacles and challenges of local jurisdictions amidst trying to develop a universal product platform that it can apply to different parts of the country, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And then how are you planning, if you have overcome it, great, how did you? And then if not, how are you planning on trying to tackle that,
Mm-hmm.
that obstacle?
Yeah, the good news is, because of the fact that we're not going full volumetric and we're not finishing our walls yet in the factory, that all of, to date, the inspection process hasn't really changed for us. So we haven't had a lot of pushback from jurisdictions. Once we get to fully enclosed walls, then some of that inspection process will have to move into our factory. But we've made pretty good strides on that already. We've done some experimenting with that and have received very, very little pushback. I think it's a little more challenging in the full volumetric world, where you've got fully enclosed walls and those modules are coming out of the factory completely finished. We'll get to that point, and I think the industry as a whole is going to advance thanks to the full volumetric modular. People are kind of pushing that, and which is a good thing. So it'll become more commonplace.
I like how you talked about that, Craig, because the way that Katerra is trying to approach this is that, look, offsite or industrialized construction is a sliding scale of opportunities, and not any one solution is applicable to any one given situation. So should we try to standardize? Should we try to find more logic? Should we try to vertically integrate? Absolutely. But to assume that there's one product solution for, say, housing, it is just as silly as to say there should be one company doing all of it. There's never going to be that situation. So
yeah, I completely agree. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of room and applicability for the full volumetric modular, especially in hospitality. I think student housing has some opportunities for sure. And I think that we're all kind of rooting for each other, right? We're all trying to do the same thing. We're just trying to change the way that we design and build in order to make a difference and solve some of these major problems, whether it's volumetric or not. We've decided to go down one path just because it suits the model for Katerra. But I actually think in the future, my vision, if I were to look into a crystal ball and look out, 10, 20 years, I would love to see all sizes of factories, and to do anything from a factory that might only be doing the most beautiful bath kits you can imagine, or kitchen kits. Someone might be doing wall panels, other full modular hospitality. I mean, the sky's the limit in terms of growing this industry, and I think we need that variety of scale, just like you need a variety of scale of contractors and architects out there. We don't want to do it all ourselves either in terms of design. We're not going to become this juggernaut of thousands of architects working for Katerra. We want to develop the platforms that then other architects can use. We want them to want our product. We want them to. We're more of a manufacturing company and a field assembly company than we are necessarily a design company. There's plenty of room for design input and creative configuration using our kit of parts.
And we get that sense too from speaking to Ryan Kulker, who's been pushing the kind of standardization of some of the processes with the ICC, is that, you guys are really you are at the forefront of pushing for more standardization across the 48 states, which then, whether you're a small company or a large company, means that you can start to make plans at the scale that's appropriate. That's something that, beyond all of the innovation that Katerra is doing, just trying to develop products and engage with communities and inspectors across the spectrum is a really valuable step for everyone. The same way that, again, the construction industry is really, again, the McKinsey report has been so successful at damning the construction industry. and saying that, really there's just the low productivity is such a problem that there's so much opportunity for so many different people and different approaches.
Yeah. Honestly, I think part of the success is going to be based on public acceptance of this as well. And that's where, ModX, I think, compliments to you for getting the word out there. It's about educating people, whether you're in this industry or whether you're, if you're working for a local government or you're a developer that is resistant to change. We just need to provide the information to people so that they can make the right decision going forward, not be afraid of doing things in a different way. It takes a long time to change an industry as big as this one, and with the kind of history that this industry has of building the same way for decades.
Craig, with that, I want to thank you for your leadership in the industry, and appreciate you coming on ModX and sharing some of your experiences. We hope that we learn from this, and that those who we share this with also learn. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Craig.
Thanks for having me.
All right. See ya.
Bye.